Hello, the United States government, the American regime, the Washington regime has told Ukraine they can use long range missiles to bomb Russia. That's the news from today. And so, hello and welcome to Contramundum. We're going to discuss that. I'm Andrew Isker. This is CJ Engel. And CJ, how does that make you feel, that news? I'm telling you now for the first time.
Yeah, you are telling me for the first time, and all of my suspicions have been confirmed, namely that she's insane and destruction awaits her presidency. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what they've always wanted, right? They want war. Like, that's the purpose of war in our time is to basically shore up regime interests, and it's never good for us. It's good for destruction. It's like this is the same playbook that they neoconservatives did in the Middle East. And people always ask, like, what's causing all of these Haitians and Africans, Islamists in Europe to come to the West, and it's because of our military interventionism. We destabilize the world, and then the world needs a new home, and they make a lot of money bringing them in. So this has been going on for 20 years now.
Yeah, you invade the world and you invite the world, and you make money on both deals, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works. And yeah, I just look at it like, okay, right? We know what's going on with this conflict, right? If it doesn't start in with 2014 and Barack Obama's State Department overthrowing the government of Ukraine, if you're not aware of what happened there and you don't know the backstory, at least starting in 2014, even earlier than that, right? Going back to 2004, right? If you don't know, or even 1989, like if you don't know that, then like you simply do not understand this conflict at all, right? If all you know about the war in Ukraine is what you heard on Fox News, right? What you heard, oh, things are falling down, right? We're attacking. My book. Like if that's all you know, you don't know this conflict. You don't know this war, right? If you're listening to Fox News, you're listening to or even CNN or ABC or MSNBC, like they would have you think that one day Vladimir Putin just woke up and decided, I really want to invade this tiny little country next to me, and because I just want to take their land because I'm a big bad guy and I allowed to take over the world. Right, that's the narrative. It's like comic book stuff.
It is comic book stuff. It's the Marvelization of foreign policy. It's like the madman theory of like diplomacy, where like there's somewhere in the world there's a potential Hitler, and like whenever a big event happens, it's because he woke up and he wanted to play that role, and because he's insane, and it's
he just decided he wants to take over the world. And
it's Looney Tunes. People are seeing through it, but yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, I mean, it goes back to Daryl's conversation with Tucker, that like you look at like Russell Moore tweets out about that, tweets out a comic book cover of Captain America punching Hitler and saying, we understand history just fine, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That Churchill's the good guy. And it's like the whole point of the conversation was, this is not a Marvel movie. This is not a comic book. This is not Star Wars, right? It isn't this Manichaean struggle of good versus evil. It's great powers fight each other for various reasons, right? Not because this guy is Satan incarnate and wants to conquer the world, even though they can be bad. They can be very bad. Like Vladimir Putin, he's not a nice guy. He's not a good guy. I want him to be the leader of my country, right? I wouldn't. He's a very, very brutal man, and so, but nevertheless, right? He is the leader of his country, and his country has interests, right? Namely, that his country continues to exist as an independent and sovereign state, and that's the point of the conflict. Is here you have a country like Ukraine, like you could liken it to Mexico vis-a-vis the United States. And if China or Russia said, we're going to join a military compact with Mexico, and we're going to put all of our hypersonic nuclear missiles in Mexico, and strike most of the population of the United States. We could strike the whole eastern seaboard before you could even launch a response. Right? We would immediately invade Mexico before that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what any country. Maybe we wouldn't. Maybe we wouldn't even care. But a serious country would. A serious country would not allow that to happen because the vital interest and like literally the existence of your country as an independent nation would be in peril. Right? It'd be over. And so no, like that's what the conflict is. We wanted to use Ukraine as our little sandbox, a deep state place to do all sorts of dirty stuff, right? When we overthrew the government in 2014, every crook in Washington sent their failed sons over there to go loot the country, including the current president of the United States, Joe Biden. Right? That's what happened. And that's what the conflict is over. And you had these separatist republics, right? They said, we didn't vote for this government, right? This is not a legitimate government ruling over us. We're seceding from the rest of Ukraine and forming independent countries. And so the Ukrainian military, at the behest of the United States, just started bombing them and sending paramilitaries in to go murder and rape and torture people, right? That's what happened for 8 years before Putin invaded. Right, that's the backstory that you're not going to get on the news anywhere else. And so now the United States goads Russia into invading, right? And Trump even talked about it at the debate, right?
Well, yeah,
three days before they invaded, Kamala went to a peace conference, so-called, for NATO, and basically said straight up, Ukraine is going to join NATO, which is the red line. Like, that's the red line. You cross that line, they're going to invade.
Yeah, what she's doing is she's trying to goad them in. Yeah, she's poking them. She wants them to react. She wants to point the finger at him and say, "See, we were right. He's insane." And history doesn't matter. The last couple of years of the conflict don't matter. They want to goad him into something big. I actually this is. We can get to Grey Duck's comment in a minute, but this is what I was saying about some existential crisis that's going to be provoked in October, right before the elections. Mm-hmm. That's going to cause, I don't know. Your
prediction was a little bit late, CJ. It might happen before the end of September.
No, it's still on track. It's still on track. October 1st.
These things take a while, right? It's going to take a couple of weeks before they get the missiles and they start bombing.
But I seriously
and for Russia to make a response.
I mean, she could say that they have intelligence and Donald Trump is their agent in America.
Oh yeah,
they'll do all that.
They could accuse us. They could say, they could. I mean, everybody look at the Tenet Media thing or whatever. I don't know if it's legit or not. Right? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But they could easily just say, oh, we saw that the Russian government was subscribed to Contramundum Substack at $8 or $11 a month. And so Russian agents, right? Well, they could do that kind of stuff to you,
I just got paid out $110 from Twitter from Elon Musk.
I got $250. I got $250. I'm gonna brag. I got more than you.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. But I mean, the point is,
paid for my round of golf today. Yeah,
we are getting paid for pushing Russian disinformation.
Disinformation. Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff is going to happen, right? I mean, that's why I'm leery about if we did a Patreon or anything like that for this show. Is they could just accuse you of being a foreign agent. Yeah, I guess a foreign national. I guess he's a citizen now. Elon Musk gave me money, right? A South African gives me money, but man, it's crazy. The whole thing is so fake, and no one has a clue about this. You talk to even really conservative, big time, super pro Trump people. They'll be like, no, the TV told Sean Hannity told me that Putin is Hitler too, and he's gonna as soon as he takes Ukraine, he's gonna go into Poland and then to Germany and France and then England, and he's gonna take us over. And it's no, what would be the benefit of that for a country like that? What would he get out of that? You know what I mean?
it's just a Marvel movie to them.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, I think
Get the
Kamala really believes it.
bag.
What'd you say?
Oh yeah, get the
Oh yeah,
bag, and that's how we
yeah,
went. Yeah, it's like, well, I gotta send more tweets, I guess, more X posts.
yeah.
But no, like it is, it is, it's really depressing on one hand that people get psyoped like this stuff so easily.
Mhm.
When like all the facts are right out there in the open, like none of the stuff that I just said in like the last 10 minutes is like secret knowledge that nobody knows, right? It's all public record, right? You just have to put the pieces together and understand what is occurring, right? It's not even like a conspiracy theory or anything. Like literally, WikiLeaks released Victoria Nuland on the phone talking about how they overthrew the government of Ukraine, how the State
Yeah.
Department did it. Like they bragged about it.
Well, I mean,
They're
most of us, like, we came from the libertarian world, so we didn't need any of that to know,
yeah,
to recognize the patterns. Like, this is not some secretive thing. Like, this
yeah,
is this is basically like warmed over neoconservatism. This is what they've been pushing since the 90s. This was
yeah,
always their project. So no
yeah,
surprises.
yeah. It's exactly. Like I'll get to this comment too. I want to highlight after we talk about Great X here. But yeah, like wars. This comment from Great X. Right, wars being framed as good versus evil instead of competing national interests is kind of a crazy outlook coming from the side of serious thinkers. Like, yeah, Russell Moore is supposed to be like um, the great public theologian of America today. Like that's how he's positioned himself, right? The editor in chief of Christianity Today, the former president of the ERLC, of the Southern Baptist Convention, right? And he views these things like a child, right? Like my 8-year-old has a better understanding of geopolitics than Russell Moore, right? Like I'm not even kidding. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like he does. That oh, this country has these things that are a priority for them, and this other country has a different priority, and those two things come into conflict, and that's how wars happen,
Mhm.
right? Like it's not this is the bad guy and this is the good guy, even though one side could be bad and can have a lot of evil people, and another side can actually both sides could be really evil and bad, right? Which is usually the case, more often than not the case. But like that's how war happens. It's not, oh, suddenly the great supervillain appears out of nowhere and wants to take over the world, and all of the good guys have to unite together to stop him. Right? That is a comic book. That's for children.
Yeah.
We need to be adults.
It's
Right? We need
also
to
like
grow up.
it's not a coincidence that like the Marvelization of our world was it's not a coincidence that like Captain America was a theme. Like it plays into the First World
Superman
War.
or but yeah,
This
yeah.
like this is
Well,
the way. This is by design. This is the way they
all
want Americans to think. That
yeah, all of our pop culture
especially the good
came in
guy.
that era. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of the pop. I mean, yeah, like some of Marvel and DC and things like that came like during World War II or shortly before.
Yeah, but
But
after
all of the
World War
pop.
II, it had a very heavy propaganda spin on it. So that was
Oh yeah,
much. It's like identifiable.
yeah. That's the point. Like you have to have right. Every conflict is good versus evil. These are the good guys, and they're always utterly pristine, spotless, and the bad guys are evil down to the core. Nothing. They've never done anything good. They've been like, killing kittens and torturing them since they were little kids. They're just evil, evil, evil people all the way down. And like that's not reality at all. But like, yeah, our whole culture is shaped and formed around that. Like Star Wars is clearly this like morality play based on World War II,
Mhm.
at least the original one. Like that, all of it is that. Harry Potter is this way. I mean, all the ones that they cite, right? The like infamous Ukrainian tweet, right? About we're the rebellion and we're fighting Voldemort and we're like all this kind of stuff, right? All of that is by design, right? To have things within the popular imagination where every conflict is this one where it's Manichaean, where it's totally good
Well, like
versus
again,
totally
like
evil.
I feel like I bring this up every episode now, but like the Saunders book on the cultural Cold War and like the CIA involvement
Oh
in
yeah,
Hollywood books. And a lot of times, like for these writers, like they didn't even know what they were actually participating in.
no,
But they were very well funded. Like stories with certain themes,
mm-hmm.
stories that had like this consistent narrative that they could use in a good versus evil post-war mythology, they really leaned into and they promoted. And not only did they promote it in America, but there's a reason why Western Europe has an Americanization of their own cultures. Is because we like they're all American satellites, and we were pushing an anti-Soviet agenda, which was good, and like maybe it was necessary for that time, but we have to recognize the roots of where we're at today.
Yeah, this is a good comment from Connor, that like reality isn't a George R.R. Martin book either. I've never read them, but I'm familiar enough to know about such things. And it's just this like totally nihilistic, universe this guy built, right? Where everybody's bad. There's nobody good. And that isn't true either. Like, I mean, a lot of people hate that, like, people like us, people in our sphere, in our world, right? The only popular culture that we ever cite is Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, stop with the Lord of the Rings references. Stop it.
That hideous strength.
But that too, like Lewis as well, is great.
Everyone's commenting about the fly. Let me just say, like, the flies are not unique. They have those in California. What's unique here, I've never dealt with it before, is the chiggers, the little white bugs. Have you ever dealt with those?
I did when I was a little kid, and I think I was in
I've
Alabama.
never experienced these. Yeah.
Bit up all up and down my legs. Yeah, you just can't wear shorts. You can't wear shorts anymore.
It's crazy.
I'm gonna get 10,000% DEET to deal with it. I'm gonna get there hopefully when it's cold and they're all gone anyway. So I won't have to wait till next summer to find out what it's like. But yeah, like there is, like, reality is there is good versus evil, but it's not like in this Star Wars way, right? At all. It's that there are good people, and sometimes they're on the side where there are leaders or competing interests where they're not all entirely good, right? Mm-hmm. That's much more like reality, where you have to be allied with some people that maybe aren't so good, but you're the good guy, and navigate those things like that. That's how reality operates far more than anything else. And like in Lord of the Rings, you see that, right? Gandalf thinks that Saruman is on his side, and it turns out he's actually a bad guy. Like that's much more compelling narrative, right? Things like that. Or you go to Rohan, and the king is under a spell, and he's not fighting for his people. It's making no sense. Like, that's powerful.
That's
right.
Powerful.
Right. Oh, why is that? Like, your country's being attacked by these evil orcs, and you're not doing anything, and you're actually attacking the good people that want to fight them back and sending them away. Like, that's way more reality than a Marvel movie or what is it? What's the dragon show? The horrible one that Martin books are based on, Game of Thrones. Like, it's not, we have this silly comic book Manichaean struggle of good versus evil, and it's not, okay, everybody everywhere is all horrible and evil and bad. It's, no, the good guys have all sorts of fights, and they're fighting the gray, right? They're fighting the black and the gray, right? That's much more of reality. And so, right, that's why, like, yeah, read Lord of the Rings, read that Hideous Strength, or the whole space trilogy, right? That's good literature to read, because the world is tricky. You don't know who is good all the time. You know that there are good guys. You just don't know always who they are, right?
Yeah. This whole thing, that's it. This plays into the Churchill thing. Like, this is exactly why it was so deeply painful for them to face this conversation, because like it's like rethinking a Marvel movie. Yeah. Like, their entire universe is constructed like that. Like, that's literally the way that they live and breathe. And so, like, therefore, when someone questions it, you have to come out with these tropes, like these just common narratives. You don't actually debate the topics. You just it's sort of like self-affirmation. Like, they have to convince themselves that, like, everything's okay. The religion has not been undermined. The orthodoxy remains. The cathedral is still in good standing. Like it's really interesting to see the religious aspects of it. Like when a key theme of the religion is threatened.
Yeah. That's that's largely what's going on. Is if that myth begins to fall apart, and that is what Daryl was doing, and Tucker were doing in that. Like they directly related it to the Ukraine conflict, where it's like, oh, Zelenskyy is this new Churchill. Actually, the neocon is more right than they realize. Right? He actually is the new Churchill, and Churchill wasn't that good, as it turns out. And that doesn't mean that Putin is good too, right? It means that, boy, what if things are much more gray than we think, and both sides are bad? Did you ever think of that?
Yeah, like, I mean, the ability to think in politics beyond good and bad is really difficult, and I think evangelicals have a really hard time with that. That's like the realist approach. Like, I mean, these are competing interests. Like, and the reason why this is important is because it helps us. It deals with the real world, but they can't take it because, like, all of policy has to be filtered through these good versus evil. It's very libertarian in a way.
Well, it's just like Trump too. Is Trump a good guy or a bad guy? It's like, no, he's an instrument for good guys to accomplish good things. That's what.
Yeah, but like I mean, this is why Carl Schmitt is important, right?
Yeah.
Because like he said, like the good versus evil is an unhelpful frame of reference for dealing with politics. What you should deal with is friends and enemies. Like what you're dealing with is just, I mean, this is as basic as Thomas Sowell and this conflict of visions. I mean, that's basically the same thing. Is like, you can't rationalize your way out of this debate. You can't have this moral conversation. You're dealing with two different ways of dealing with the world and two different priority scales.
Yeah, this is a good question. I'm from South Africa, but work abroad mostly. I find Americans the most reflective and least nationalistic. Is this what Romans felt? What Romans were like in the West in 576? Right?
I have no idea.
Well, we weren't around in 576, but I do know a little bit of history. And yeah, I think that's part of it. Is the spirit of the Roman Empire had disintegrated, right? The what bound them together as a common people had fallen apart, right? Their myths had died, and so they no longer were what they once were. They no longer had a people that thought of themselves as unique. And had a unique identity as a people. And yeah, what would happen then? Well, I've even thought about it now. Like, okay, if there were a conflict like World War II, which I don't think is going to happen. Like, I don't think the geopolitical situation is such, and the technological situation is such, that I don't think a conflict on that scale is even possible today.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, say that it was. Right. Say that it could happen. Right. Who do you know that's going to like go, sprint to the enlistment office when we have an attack like Pearl Harbor or something like that? Like nobody I know that loves America and is very patriotic is going to say, yeah, I'm going to go sign up to go die for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So we can make sure some country most people can't find on a map can have gay pride parades. Right. I can't wait to go do that. Like nobody is thinking that. Right. Nobody is going to sign up to do that. Most people that sign up for the military today, right, they're doing because it's a jobs program. Right. Yeah. Some people do it out of patriotic zeal and they love their country. And I know many of them who do. But they would be the first to tell you most of the people here, that's not why they're here. Right. They're here for a steady paycheck and to have a career. Yeah. Free college. Right, for some money, for the bennies. Right, that's why they're doing it. And right, you should be able to say that. It's okay. You're allowed to say it. It's true. Most of the people who would have joined the military 40 or 50 years ago just simply did not. Yeah, right? They simply haven't. Because it's like, well, what are we even fighting for? What would I go fight and die for? Right? What is this?
Not just what, but who? Like who would I fight for?
Yeah,
like exactly. Like the government that's paying me is trying to ship my jobs off to some foreigners. Like, who am I fighting for?
Am I going to go die for the 20,000 Haitians in Springfield, Ohio? Right? Is that who I'm going to go die for? Like we don't even have a country anymore. Who am I fighting for? Right? That I think is the general attitude. And so in 576 in Rome, what do you think? Oh, I'm going to sign up to be part of the legions to defend these wonderful Goths that we have everywhere. Right? No, of course not. Like your country is disintegrating. It's disappearing. It's going away. And with that, any zeal to defend it is gone. Right? So the analogy between American Rome, I mean, we went through the Michael Anton parallel between America and Rome, the article he wrote a few years ago. We went over that, a month or two ago, and it was good. I mean, but the point of his article is that the analogies fall apart because what we're facing is far, far worse than what Rome went through, right? The number of Goths that invaded and became citizens and became part of Rome was a fraction of the foreign-born people in America. What do we have? 100 million foreign-born people in America?
That's
right?
Nuts.
Like first or second generation. That's a third of the country.
That's nuts.
It's insane, right? When you have that many people come, you don't have a country anymore. It's not the same people. It's just random people from all over the world that are living in the same place. You have an economic zone, not a country. And so that's what we're feeling. So, to back up a little ways, right? To back up to the point at hand, right? This escalation that is taking place is the biggest one that has happened in since the invasion, right? And it's on the same level of the United States government overthrowing the government of Ukraine in 2014.
Do you think it's
the same thing?
Just electorally, do you think the timing is coincidental?
Not in the least, right? Normally I'm like, okay, maybe whatever. But like Tuesday at the debate, they asked Donald Trump point blank, do you want Ukraine to win the war? Are you pro-Ukraine? And he's like, I want the war to be over.
Dude, that was such a great stand.
It's the perfect answer.
That's the perfect answer. Like, the war should be over.
What's the point? A million people have died, and for what? For nothing, right? For nothing for them, right? But it made a lot of people in Washington, D.C. and the surrounding counties very, very rich, right? Made them really wealthy.
Well, the other thing too is like that money going to Ukraine to me is like obviously a way to get money out and then back, like they'll put it back in the United States in nefarious ways. Like it's going to the NGOs, the same NGOs that are funneling like Haitian migration.
Venezuelans, all of
coming back. It's a way to hide. It's a way to hide the money. Like that's
it's that, but it's also it forces. I mean, this is the thing. Like Trump brought this up about the pipeline between Russia and Germany, which actually, for the sake of world peace, is a good thing, right? You need Germany to decouple from the United States in order for Europe to be free, right? As long as Germany and France and Great Britain and Italy and all the other Western countries are under the thumb of the United States economically, right? As long as they get all of their energy from us or via the Middle East through us, right? They will be beholden to us. So they will have their country overrun with Syrians or Algerians or Pakistanis. Right? That's why it's happening.
Did you just see Germany's announcement today?
No, what was the announcement?
Let me read it. Hold on. It says Germany signs agreement with Kenya to bring 250,000 Kenyans to Germany. It was on the BBC News.
Germany. Why are they doing that? Even though a very liberal country like Germany, it's like more leftist than the United States, right? Just temperamentally. Why are they doing that? Because it's unpopular there. They don't want them there.
Because they're beholden to the United States.
Because the United States is making them. Like I used to have this perspective on Angela Merkel, like she was terrible and horrible and awful. And the reality is she did everything she could within her very limited power, right? Within this context, within this frame of the United States is dominating them and they don't have any say in the matter, right? She did everything she could actually to prevent the migrants from coming there, right? But they're just limited. What can you do? You can't tell the United States no, and so it gets pushed on them.
Yeah.
And so, like, the whole point of the Ukraine war is to keep Western Europe under the domination of the United States, to keep them from engaging Europe get Europe engaging Russia economically, right, and being freed, right? That's the point of it. That's why it had to happen, right? I mean, and the second order effect is all the hundreds of billions of dollars, right? All the most horrible people in America get a cut of that, right? That's the added benefit, right? They line their pockets, and the war itself, right? What is it? Who cares? A million Ukrainians? We don't care about those people, right? They're dying for freedom, right? They don't care about them. They don't care about how they've devastated this country, maybe forever. They don't care about that at all. And it's like, oh, we got to stick it to Hitler too, Putler. We got to stick it to Putler. Like, no, it's sick. It's the most disgusting thing in the world.
Yeah, I think I agree here with. I can't add Connor's comment because you won't let me into the account. But I put Connor's comment on the screen.
Which one?
The last one.
Said several.
The draft.
Yeah, they'll have a draft for citizens first. Yes, exactly.
If there's a war, guess who's going?
They're not going to draft the Haitians who are here under temporary protected status.
Well, not only are they under that, but they're productive members of society. They have the jobs. So, you know.
We don't have any jobs.
Yeah, so right? We have to go. It's sick what they're doing. Like,
which one he's spamming?
Oh, by the way, like, which one he's spamming? So this is next week. We're going to be talking with the translators of Camus' Great Replacement essay, because that essay is super good in the themes that he puts forth, and it's not what people think. No. He's a leftist, you know. He's like culturally, he's not pro replacement or anything, but he it's a really good to have clarity about what's happening, and he's super like black pilled, so like it appeals to me. But like just
you're dressed appropriately today, by the way. I'm in light color, golf shirt, and you got your dark black polo on. You got the yin and the yang going on. Yeah.
But anyways, like it's so we're going to be talking to them. It's going to be a good conversation. But the this is kind of the objective. It's literally to wave farewell to Western civilization and the people that inherited it.
Yeah, 100%. That's 100% what it is. Like they want to destroy it, right? They want multiculturalism to replace Western civilization, right? That is the point. That's it. And people don't want to hear that, right? They think that's mean and bad, or it's racist. But it's true. Right? They hate it, right? They hate it. Duet. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name. You're right. America is Rome, but it's something more than that, right? And what is happening to it, like Rome fell the way that it did, for the reasons that it did, many of which were outside of their control or structural and so forth. Like America's fall is happening because our rulers are making it happen. Like they're speed running the fall of Rome on purpose, right? It's not stuff outside of all of these things are within our control. It could stop tomorrow if we wanted them to, if we had the will to do it.
So bad things happening in Germany and England and certain states, Ohio, but have you been paying attention to what's going on in Sweden?
No, enlighten me.
So they've actually started the deportation process, and like they will
remigration.
Probably by the end of the year they'll have a net negative flow, and like they have right wingers in charge of these decisions, and they have the power, and they're executing. Good. They're not executing people, but they're
yes, I understood.
Plan, so I just got to clarify. They're executing the plan.
How do you say patriots in control in Swedish? Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. But no, that would be great. I mean, I don't know if you saw my post from this morning, but it's kind of like, basing on some of the stuff that Steve Saylor said in our conversation with him way back. like his whole concept of citizenism, where like if you look at as a country, in almost like materialistic sense, as like a corporation, where if you just handed out stock to people willy nilly and just like, yep, you get to vote in the corporate elections now. Here's a whole bunch of stock for free or for a reduced price compared to what everybody else did, right? You are violating your fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders by diluting the stock, and that's what mass migration is, right? You are diluting the value of the stock of being an American by importing tens of millions of foreign people, right? Wherever they come from, right? Even if they're not from the third world, but like first world countries, right? You're still diluting it. And so, right, within that frame, what would a corporation do where their stock is being devalued because it's been diluted? Well, you do buybacks, right? You buy back the stock and you take control, right? Or if a company wanted to go private, right? A public company wants to go private, you buy all the stock back from every single person. And now it's all your own. Now you have control. Now you have 51% control over it, right? It's your company. That's what has to happen in America. So I would totally be for, giving $100,000 payout to every American citizen, right? So-called, right? Birthright citizen, anchor baby citizen, someone like Kamala. I saw Aaron comment earlier. Yes, Kamala is an anchor baby. Neither of her parents were citizens. They just had her. Her mom was even on an expired visa. She was illegally in the country when she was born. And right, 100 years ago, she would not even be considered an American citizen, right? Simply by virtue of being born here. That's not how we viewed it.
That's not how we do it.
Yeah, before 1965, no, that's not the way it was. Yeah. And so, anyway, right, what do you do? Like all of the people like that, if we have 100 million foreign-born people in America, and you tell them, all right, one-time payment, $100K, renounce your citizenship, go back to where you came from.
Okay, well, that's what they're doing in Sweden too. They're saying $35,000.
Yeah, some big number like that. Like that, I would go. Like you look at the scale. Like look at the money that's getting paid on the Haitians right now. Right? I mean, what is that? Like 2 years of a Haitian being here would be $100K.
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah,
send them back.
But also, like, I mean,
like maybe I'm being too libertarian here, CJ. I don't know.
No, here's an unlibertarian solution. Seize the assets of all these NGOs, right? Stop funneling money to the military-industrial complex. Stop giving money in foreign aid. Take all that money and make millionaires out of these Haitians and send them back to their countries.
Yeah. Well, this is a good point. Like, obviously, my plan is predicated on a total immigration moratorium, right? Like, yeah, total immigration moratorium. No, like 1924 Immigration Act reenacted, right? That's the baseline. Then you tell them, all right, you give up your citizenship, $100,000 is yours. You go back to 80, and you can own your own golf course, right? You or whatever, like that. That's how you do it. Like these are simple, very simple, easy to do solutions to these problems.
Oh, yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah. It's always funny,
very popular.
It's always funny because like the left will object. We can't afford that.
We could afford $1 trillion to Ukraine, but spending like, well, how much is that? 100,000 times 100 million. How much is that? That'd be 100 billion. So we wouldn't be able to do everybody.
No, just. I mean, these people would take $10,000.
Many of them would. Yeah.
You know how much $10,000 could get you in Haiti?
Yeah, you buy a lot of cats. Yeah, there we go. Right here, buy lots of cats. Yeah, that's right. The price per pound of dog will go up.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, exactly. Like, let's just do the math. Let's see here. I'm going to open up the calculator.
Well, find a number. What we'll do is we'll find a number and we'll back into it, right? So how much did we send Ukraine on the last run?
100 million.
How much did we send Ukraine on the last? Ukraine.
Oh, what was it, like 600 billion? Or I think that's all told is 600 billion.
So yeah, so
times 10,000.
So we've done 100 billion to Ukraine. Is that great? That's a lot. Jeez.
Yeah, that is a lot of money.
$175 billion.
Million.
175.
That would be $1 trillion, right? To give them all $10,000.
Yeah, so we can't do that.
Be $1 trillion. So, well,
I mean,
first, the 100 million number includes illegals, it includes people that are here on green cards. Just send all of them back right away. Right, green card revoked. You're gone. You're deported. And so what does that cut you down to? Maybe 50 million. Right. Okay. All right.
So
yeah. Money isn't real anyway. They just print it.
Well, exactly.
They just print it.
No,
who cares? It pays for itself. Yeah. It will pay for itself quickly. So
yeah.
Boom. There we go. No, I mean, all of these things. Yeah, you got to cut off their benefits. I mean, those are day one things. Cut off the benefits, shut down the border, stop immigration entirely, and
well, here's another idea. We just paid $1 trillion on the national debt payment. Let's go full Murray Rothbard, repudiate the debt, say, actually, we're not paying you back, and we're going to take that money and we're gonna pay the immigrants to go back to their homes.
Yeah, boom, problem solved.
Crash the dollar, but you know what?
Well, you crash the dollar, but right then everybody uses Bitcoin. We all win. Bitcoin and gold. Yes. Right, there we go.
Contra coin.
Man, Contra coin. That's right. But man, like these problems, so many of them are easily solvable. I mean, some of it too, like people will remigrate once you start deportations. Even people who are here legally will go back.
For an illegal to open a bank account here.
Yeah.
You can't function.
Make it a felony to employ them.
Make it a felony to employ them, yeah.
Right. Which means like you got to check the people working for you if they're citizens or not. And if you don't, right, boom, 3 to 5 years in prison. Right. That's it. And all your assets seized from your business. Right. Yeah. It's over at that point. Right there. They will all go back. And so we just solved all of America's problems right now in 42 minutes here on Contramundum. But nah, I think so much of it though, right? It goes back to this point from our libertarian days, right? From this whole conversation that war is the health of the state. Yeah. That the regime, like they get their power to dominate the world from conflicts like this, right? Yes. This is the point of Ukraine war is for America to dominate Western Europe. That's what you have to get through your head. If you don't get that, you have no clue what's going on, right? That's the point of the war, and that's the point of all of our foreign policy for the last 60 years. Too.
That was the point of FDR's involvement. This isn't this isn't a Daryl Cooper thing. This is like Thomas, like read his FDR's war, the New Dealers War. This is a very well established understanding.
It's from the 50s. Yeah.
This is from the 40s. I mean, this is like basic stuff. Yeah. This is the point of the 20th century, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. America's involvement in at least the European theater of World War II. And we can make argument about the Pacific too. We need to have Josiah Lippincott back on because his whole PhD thesis is on the Pacific War and our domination of the Pacific and the French and English colonies in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, we should get some Institute guys. Like Mises Institute guys, like a lot of them are becoming more right wing.
And they're all phenomenal on foreign policy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like because like the symbiosis between monetary and economic policy and foreign policy is there. Like it's real.
Put up Big Tuna's last comment.
Yeah, Herbert Hoover.
I'm interested in this. So was this in his memoirs or was this?
I think I've heard these things too, but I need to hear more about this.
Well, so I have his memoirs, and I think it's in his. I just didn't know if there was a more accessible place for it because like his memoirs are like 5 volumes.
Yeah, I mean he was very critical of of all the whole New Deal regime, and
Well,
with
like,
foreign
so
policy in particular.
his memoirs are interesting because like they were looking back on it, and like it was sort of
Mm-hmm.
a personal reinterpretation of the era. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, he was basically like, yeah, we just basically betrayed all of our freedoms for this hubris in Europe.
Yeah. No, honestly, he was one of the best presidents of the 20th century. And
I've been Coolidge maxing. Like I used to
Yeah.
Coolidge max on the economic stuff, but like he was super good on like the immigration, and
100%. Yeah.
he's actually the one that really defined America in similar terms that I do with my Heritage America thing.
Yeah. Hoover, that whole era.
Eisenhower, I mean, all of them.
Yeah. I was just talking to some friends about that era in the 1920s, why immigration became such a huge issue that they completely banned it for 40 years. And it was because of Ellis Island, right? You bring the Ellis Islanders in, and now, for the first time in American history, you have organized crime, and you have anarchists and socialists and doing terrorism in your country. It was actually really bad, and no one had, like, all of this history is completely glossed over, just for one reason, for no reason at all. They just decided to ban all immigration. Weird. That's crazy. Why did they do that? What's like, because we brought over a lot of bad people that were bad.
But it's not even like bad people. Like, I mean, we did for sure, but like, you can even interpret it in a realistic, like a realpolitik way.
Yeah.
Like there's just a clash of visions. They don't think about heritage, the meaning of America. They don't have the same roots, the same.
They had no connection to Western European history.
Yeah, it just their customs and norms and mores. Like you create conflict. When you do that, and so it doesn't even have to be good versus evil. Like that's another thing that like Big Eva misses. We're not describing them as like little Satans, although I think there's an element of that with like the voodoo and the Haitian stuff. Like now that we're digging deep into the third world, there's something like esoteric going on for sure.
Yeah, they're not eating the cats and dogs. They're getting like $2,000 or $3,000 a month in EBT. They're not eating them because they're starving, right? They're doing other stuff with the cats and dogs. Okay, that's what's going on.
I gotta bounce. Actually,
I do too. I gotta get going.
I need everybody in the chat right now to all caps yell at Andrew to get his house on the market and to get down here.
It's happening. I'm gonna get it. It's happening. It's gonna happen. I'm going to be down there soon.
I want to see some boomer caps on these comments here.
Yeah. Well, here we go.
Anyways,
we'll see. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have time for. We're all gonna make it either. Maybe he'll join us in the future. Any other stuff you're publishing? Any stuff for Chronicles that you guys are doing?
I finally I'm in my office. I'm finally here.
Before the election. Get it together.
There you go.
All right. They attack. All right. Thank you guys. As always, stay peacefully dangerous, and we will see you next time.